that the whole universe is one with you. Remember, you're not a part of the whole universe, of that Brahman. If you are a part of that Brahman, this is the philosophy called Vishishta-Advaita. In classical Advaita Vedanta, there is no part and whole relationship. If you permit, you can say you are all of it, but then even that all is not quite right. You see how language fails at this point. Almost everything that you say is wrong. A skillful use of language will be to somehow point us towards that reality. That's it, and we need to catch it intuitively. Now, in the 13th chapter, after having these two tremendous verses, Sri Krishna is some of my favorite verses in the whole Bhagavad Gita. I've given multiple talks about this. The feel and the feel knower, leading to the highest realization that I am that. But as Vivekananda said, it's not just knowing it or even realizing it, it also means manifesting it in life, living it, getting first and foremost the benefits of it ourselves. I often feel personally, a person is spiritually advanced to the extent that that person has solved his or her personal problems. To that extent that we have no more complaints, that I am fine, I am secure, I am at peace with whatever is happening in my life, and then I will do my best for others. But as far as I am concerned, I am fulfilled. Krishna himself says, Yang labdva na chaparam nahu manyate tatodhikam. Having attained which, one does not consider that there is anything higher to be attained in life. Yasmin stito dukkhena gurunapi na vicharyate. Being centered in which the heaviest of sorrows cannot sweep you away. That is God's realization. That is self-realization. Now, the other side of it is manifesting it in our lives. So, how do you do that? Sri Krishna, in the 13th chapter, there's a sequence which starts just from the 8th verse onwards. Again, I told you that 13th chapter, counting the verses is a little problematic. So 7th verse or 8th verse onwards. 20 practices Sri Krishna gives us. 20 practices. Usually they are translated as qualities, virtues or qualities. The problem of calling them qualities is that immediately the mind will say, oh, I don't have those qualities. What do you think? You are a saint? You don't have this quality. Not for you. They are not qualities. They are practices. And everybody can do something about it. We can work with them. These 20 practices, 20 disciplines, 20 methods of practice, 20 different areas in our life. What are they? What will they do? They'll do two things. On our road to enlightenment, they'll make it easier. They'll make it effective. They'll make our spiritual practices more effective. And post-enlightenment, post-realizing I am existence consciousness, is the actual, that moment, that entry, that breakthrough. Post that, these will be the manifestation of that divinity within. These 20 are the practices which are also qualities of the enlightened one. These are what we expect from a highly spiritual person. So it's good that Krishna has given those there, and he concludes, he gives a list of 20, and he concludes by saying, Etad jnanamiti proktam, ajnanam yadatu anyatha. This is knowledge, the rest is ignorance. Meaning thereby, these are practices which are conducive to enlightenment. The rest takes you away from enlightenment. Unless we do this, the inquiry which we have been doing, first day sitting in a mirror, yesterday non-dual meditation, and today in the morning that the field and its knower, all of these are the same thing. These are the inquiries. These inquiries will not take hold, they will not take effect. Sadhus in Uttarakhand, they will say, Vedanta pachta nahi mahatmaja. It's called Vedantic indigestion. Then we complain. I have heard so many talks, I have read all the books, and I've memorized so many verses, I know the arguments, but there's always a but coming at the end. It hasn't made much of a difference to my life. I've realized I have understood a very cool philosophy, very nice philosophy, but I'm still the same Jew. My life hasn't changed much. These are guaranteed to change your life. And the more we work on it, day by day our lives will change. Leading up to enlightenment and after enlightenment, the manifestation of the divinity will be effortless. Otherwise, what happens is, after enlightenment, post-enlightenment, sadhana is also there. Many people don't know this. They think it's all far away. But it's also interesting, post-enlightenment, sadhana is there. Before enlightenment, we are seeking. We believe these things, we are convinced about it, but we are still seeking. We can't say it's a living truth for us. After enlightenment, after that breakthrough, it's a living truth for us. It's clear as daylight. But there may still be difficulty in living it. The difficulty in living it, that is because of the lack of preparation. The initial preparation before enlightenment. So, to some extent, we have to be prepared, we have to have done some sadhana, otherwise enlightenment will not come at all. In a very crude, unregenerate mind, enlightenment will not come at all. But for advanced seekers, enlightenment does come without completing the course of sadhana. So after enlightenment also, what does one do? One does these same things, except the difference is, you've already found, you're no longer seeking. You define yourself as I'm trying to be centered in it. I'm trying to make it, with eyes closed, eyes open, it's the same thing. That I'm trying to erase the boundary between practice and life. So that becomes the sadhana afterwards. But the traditional way is to do this strenuous course of sadhana before enlightenment. So that after enlightenment, it's natural. The manifestation of the divinity is natural. Vivekananda said, my aim in life is to preach unto humanity their inner divinity and how to make it manifest in every movement of life. That phrasing is very interesting. How to make it manifest in every movement of life. Every movement of life, what we do, what we think, what we say, it should manifest that realization. Otherwise, I have realized I am Brahman, but I have many complaints. I am full of grumbling and complaints and unhappiness and irritability, and that is very strange kind of enlightenment. It should have, that enlightenment should be manifested. So Sri Krishna says, Amanitvam adambhitvam ahimsa kshantirajyavam acharya upasanam shaucham स्थैर्यम् आत्मा विनिग्रह इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहंकार एव च जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुःख दोषानुदर्शनम्. Then the next part is मयि चानन्य योगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेश सेवित्वम् अरतिर्जन संसदि असक्तिरनविश्वंग पुत्रदार विहारीषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु अध्यात्मज्ञान नित्यत्वम् तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम् Ajnanam yadatovanyatha. These are just a list of 20 practices. And all of this, Krishna says, is knowledge. Because you are guaranteed to get enlightenment if you work on these. And after enlightenment, you are guaranteed to be able to manifest that enlightenment, live it also, if you work on these. If we do not, then we are dwelling in the midst of ignorance and expecting enlightenment. We will complain why we are not progressing. We will complain why I understood but it's not in my life. So, what are these? Looks like a list of virtues, qualities, but these are practices. Now, we will not have time to go through all 20. They are all wonderful, but I will just, as a sampling, do the first verse, the first 8 or so, and then we know how to apply it to the rest. Notice, first of all, what is the practice? And then also notice what is its relationship to non-dual realization. So lack of ego or humility is a good thing. Everybody should be humble. But what's its connection to non-duality? In each case, notice the connection to non-duality. Amanitvam, Madhammitvam, and so on. Amanitvam means, it can be translated as humility. Mana literally means pride, and not in a good way. So pride of wealth or status or achievement or whatever. So pride. And people want to be recognized for and praised for, and noted for. It could be anything. It could be on the basis of body. And look how beautiful I am, how handsome I am. Or it could be on the basis of family. Not so much in the United States. Luckily, it's a very egalitarian society. But in Europe or India, I come from such and such family. In India, again, there's a caste basis to it also. So it leads to pride, which is basically body-based. Even family is body-based. Then wealth. That's very much there here in the United States. So a poor person is looked down upon. And success and making it in life is a matter of wealth. In Europe or even in India, a poor person can still be proud of family, belong to nobility or a high caste or something. But here it's mostly wealth. So pride based on wealth. I'm rich, you're poor. Notice how it works. I'm rich, you are rich, it won't work. I'm rich and you have to be poor. Then pride based on learning. I have a PhD or I'm a professor at this Ivy League college. Pride based on learning. People think that the corporate world is so difficult, Swami, and you think academic world is better? So pride of learning, pride of spirituality, of religiosity, that's also pride. This is called manitvam. And it's harmful to spirituality. However, a caveat here. Self-confidence, self-esteem is initially good and necessary. One must not try to break down or cut down the ego which is not yet well formed. So for a child, or anybody who is not yet fully mature and confident of oneself, one must build up self-esteem. Swami Vivekananda, he says, the old religion said he who does not believe in God is an atheist. The new religion says he who does not believe, he or she does not believe in themselves is an atheist. So this self-belief, self-esteem, this is very important. A gentleman pointed out to me, you Swamis, you keep talking about transcending the ego, about humility, but the problem is large numbers of people you're talking to, they are not confident people, they are not strong people. This is advice for strong people. This is advice for competent people. So remember, who is fit for this kind of life? Someone like Buddha, who is the Prince Siddhartha, who has so much to give up, and he renounces. And I remember we have this tough old Swami monk in our monastery. So when a youngster would come to become a monk, renounce the word, I want to become a monk, he would ask a question. What do you have to renounce? What are you renouncing? The money and all that belongs to your parents. What have you done? What's your degree? What's your bank balance? What are you giving up? What are you giving up? So, first of all, self-reliance, self-confidence, a sense of one's worth. Sri Ramakrishna also says, man hush. So the Sanskrit word, Bengali word in many Indian languages, manush, the word manush means human being. And Sri Ramakrishna is to play with the words. So he would say man hush. Same, amanitva, the mana, that word mana, it means pride. But he says, mana means a sense of dignity. Dignity. And hush means an awareness of our spiritual nature. A human being who has dignity and awareness of their spiritual nature. In the sense that, what? I am a child of God. Will I think such mean things? Will I do such mean things? No, I will not. I am above this. This is man hush. Hush is like Bengali equivalent to Hindi hosh. The awareness, the consciousness of our spiritual dignity. So that's a human being. That's a human being. long before enlightenment, becoming a saint or whatever. First of all, human being, a sense of one's dignity as a human being. So that's the caveat. The Krishna's teaching of amanitvam, overcoming pride, overcoming ego, comes after this, not before this. You are strong, confident, steady on your own 2 feet, then the virtue of humility. Not before that. As Vivekananda says, humility does not consist in being a doormat. Humility is seeing the greatness in the other person. That's the humility of a strong person. I am great, but so are you. That was Vivekananda's specialty. Josephine MacLeod says that I have met many eminent men in my time. And in those days, she said, I met the Tsar of Russia. And I felt when I met him, either the Tsar or the Kaiser of Germany. I met him, I felt what a towering personality and how insignificant I am, how great he is and how insignificant I am. But when I met Vivekananda, she says, I felt how great he is and how great I am. So that he brings that out in me. So Mahapurush. Now, after this humility, because then one has to work on the ego. What the ego does, this is the relationship with non-duality. What's its connection to I am Brahman? What's its connection? See, the danger is the ego will claim that I am Brahman. Ego says, yes, you are Brahman. I always thought so. That's the ego speaking. Now, technically, this is something one must note. Mana in Vedanta, in Indian epistemology, mana means to measure. In many Indian languages also, man is the measure, the weight, the age, the size, maybe the wealth, whatever it is. Man is a measure, is a quantity. And whatever is measured is within Maya. Mani, that means an egotistic person, a proud person, is the person who catches hold of something which can be measured and glorifies in that, glories in that. It could be youth or it could be old age. I am so senior. People, in the world, people they don't want to admit their youth. In their old age, they say, they all pretend to be younger than they are. But among monks, it's the opposite. Everyone pretends to be older than they are. Older and wiser. Well, that's mana. You're holding on to something measured. What's wrong with something measured? Whatever is measured is limited. Mana is equal to parichinna. Parichinna means cut off. Limited. It cannot be the limitless. I was talking to this scientist, Marcus du Sautoy. He is a pure mathematician working at Oxford University. So he said, but science is measurement. I said, Vedanta is exactly the opposite. So science says what is measured is real. Reality has to be measured. Vedanta says if it's measured, it's false. It's equal to Maya. That which is measured is the limited. The limited is always part of Maya. It's an appearance. An appearance of the limitless. So if I catch hold of something limited, which I always am, I'm saying I am this body, limited. I am this mind, I am this person, limited. And then on top of that, glorifying it. This is my glory. I have so much money. I have these degrees. I have this and that. I have so many Facebook likes or friends. This is limited. Money. And then people can become depressed about it. It seems people are crazy about social media. People are more crazy about social media in India, it seems. And people are getting depressed. The photo I uploaded did not get the number of likes I expected. It's all in the virtual world. In the real world also, if people appreciate it, it's false and worthless. And on top of that virtual world, one layer of Maya above another layer of Maya. And I become proud of that. I become happy if I get so many likes. I become unhappy if I don't get the number of likes I wanted. People have become depressed and suicidal. So this is Mani. Catching hold of the measure, the limited. Mana is Mani. Catching hold of the Mana, the limited. is exactly the opposite of Vedanta. Vedanta says, free yourself from the limited. Everything that is limited, to measure means to know. And what did we learn? Whatever you know, that's different from you. The way to be unlimited is to distance yourself from the known. The known is always the measured, is measured by the sense organs, or limited by the sense organs, or by the mind, or by the intellect. So that's why aparichinna, unlimited, unlimited by time, space, object, desha, kala, vastu, aparichinna, unlimited by that is limitless existence, limitless consciousness, which you already are. Sounds very abstract, but it's the basis of everything. That's why this limited universe arises, because that limitlessness is at the background. You are that limitlessness appearing in this particular form, which is a limited form, which will age and die, this body will die. Mind goes through cycles, in waking, dreaming, deep sleep, they are all limited. Knowledge which we have in this world is limited knowledge. And all of that is good, as long as you don't identify with it and say, I am great because of the money I have, I am great because of the degrees I have. It'll all go away. It'll all go away. I'm not cursing, I'm not saying that being negative. Oh, the Swami said all that money will go away. Even if it goes away, it will come back again, don't worry. The problem is it goes and comes. All the knowledge we have acquired, one day it will go away. And every night it goes away when you fall asleep. One great philosopher, he passed away recently. One day he told me, 20 years back, he was one of the greatest living Indian philosophers at that time. He told me 20 years ago was that he had a mind stroke and he was worried, anxious, and he says, I can't remember a great deal, and also I'm not as quick in catching as I used to be. Now note, this is a problem for a man of wisdom. It's like a multi-millionaire or billionaire losing millions on the stock market suddenly because of one downturn. Similarly, if you have accumulated knowledge, you're the master of both Eastern and Western philosophy. If you have accumulated knowledge all your life, now you don't have access to it. Not only you don't have access to it, earlier you would grasp a thought just like that. Now you can't. The body has slowed down, the brain has slowed down, you can't. It's the experience of everybody. I mentioned our senior most member, Bill, just this morning, 100 years old. So he says, Swami, my memory is not what it used to be. I said, Bill, I'm half your age. My memory is not what it used to be. You are fine. The memory is not fine. So, the unlimited. Don't associate, don't catch hold of the limited and define yourself by the limited. Even if the memory slows down, even knowledge goes away, I'm fine. I've told this story other times that this philosopher, when he told me this, I told him the story of a monk who was very revered, very close. I felt close to him, many others felt close to him. Swami Mokshadananda was passed at Ram Maharaj. Illumined soul, I think, I felt. So one day, I used to always go to him with questions about Vedanta, and he would answer. One day, at the end of his life, he was a vastly learned man, this monk, one of the most learned monks in our order at that time. And he had hardly known outside the order. I went to him, almost the final time I saw him, I went to him with a question about Vedanta. And I asked him a question. And he thought, he was lying in the bed, ill. And he thought, and he couldn't get the answer, he couldn't recollect it. And he said to me, almost the same words as the philosopher later on. I can't remember, my mind is not as sharp as it used to be. It's gone, the knowledge. And then with his characteristic bright smile and twinkling eyes, this old monk was dying. He said, let it go, its task is done. In Bengali he said, oh jaak aur kaj hega. Now, this I told to the philosopher. He was very charmed. He said, that's wonderful. He's very lucky that one has attained to that. All the knowledge, of course, this knowledge, what he meant was the knowledge of Vedanta, of Yoga, of Sankhya, and all of that, all the spiritual systems, which he had gathered, so many books and everything he had studied and mastered and taught also over many years. All that's going away. But what it was meant to show, what you meant to realize from it, that you have realized. That is not going on. And you realize that one is the essential thing, not those things which I remember, not the verses, not the arguments, not the counter-arguments. Those things can go away, doesn't matter. Now I can't recollect them, too bad. But they were a means to an end, and that end is purpose, which I have got. That's not limited, that's the unlimited. So, amanitvam, humility and infinity are connected. Who has ever been arrogant? Never. I know a friend of mine, a monk, who is a writer, an interesting character. So he said to me one day, I'm writing a book, it will be a novel, about this person who is enlightened. Nobody knows he's enlightened. And he behaves like an ordinary person outside. But inside, he's just content for everybody else. I said, that doesn't sound very enlightened. No enlightened person will ever be like that. You might have great reverence for the enlightened person. Enlightened person doesn't think much about himself or herself at all. He'll be happy to be zero because that person has found infinity. As a person, that person doesn't want to be infinite. Cannot be. He's happy to efface even any sign, the least sign of speciality or uniqueness. Swami Sarvapriyananda was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. And when he was quite elderly, he's going to another senior monk, Shivananda, he was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, if I'm not mistaken, and says, brother, why do we wear these orange robes? It sets us aside from people. Let us just discard these and wear the dress of the common people. Why? It's because what they have found does not require any external sign. It's so clear, so limitless, so endlessly fulfilling that is external signs are just absolutely not necessary. So, amanitvam, humility implies infinity. And the metaphysical infinity, which is our real nature, in practical life, implies humility. And the humility of such persons, the enlightened ones, their humility, is a natural humility. It's not a forced humility. There's the beautiful example of Swami Brahmananda, disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. So he was the president of the Ramakrishna order, and at that time they gone to the south on a pilgrimage, on a tour, and they took him to the Meenakshi temple, Divine Mother, and he was in ecstasy there as he entered the temple grounds. And the courtyard of the temple, he found somebody sweeping, and he borrowed the broom from there, and he swept the temple of the Mother like a servant. And all the crowd around him, all the people would come. It was the reminiscences. This is a divine sight to see. It's so natural that he was child cleaning the courtyard of his mother. So he went again into the temple. Now another monk was following the Swami, younger monk. He also thought, I should do it. And he took the broom and started sweeping. But then the person who was writing the reminiscence, he said, it felt artificial. After the Swami has done this, the feeling is like he's doing it on purpose. So, amanitvam, the humility of the enlightened one, is a very natural expression of their infinity, of their felt infinity. Then, next one is adambhitvam. Dambha, the Sanskrit word dambha. There's a fancy English word which is the closest to it. It is ostentatious. Ostentatious. That means display, an arrogant display of power, wealth. They say it's the newly rich who always display wealth to show off the new status. Showing up. So, what's the difference between arrogance, the amanitvam and adambhitvam, the pride and this one? The difference is this. Pride is based on those limiting things like the body, wealth, knowledge. I'm proud of those things. I think they constitute my glory. And the dambha is that which is not there. That constitutes my glory. So, the one who's proud is proud of something he or she has accomplished or has. And the one who is ostentatious, or who is the next level, is proud of something they don't have. displays knowledge they don't have, displays wealth they don't have, displays being highborn or whatever it is, which is not true. I really want it so much that I will start to pretend. I pretend to be learned, I pretend to be rich, I pretend to be holy. So that is dhamma, a false display. It's almost inevitable. First comes mani and then dambhi. Mani means pride. And then becomes this false display. And of course it is bad. It leads us from the fault of pride to the fault of hypocrisy, the fault of show. Ultimately nobody is fooled. Only some people may be impressed at first, but very soon they see through it also. This is absolutely not necessary. What is its connection with non-duality? The connection is this. Dambha is equal to vivarta, is equal to maya. This connection. I'll translate. Dambha is ostentatious, is show. Showing something to be what it is not. Does this remind you of this rope appearing as the snake? This is the very nature of ignorance. We do not know the reality, we cover up the reality and present it as something else. This is what the ostentatious person does. This is what the person who is showing up does. What is the reality? I do not wish to express it as such. Because of my strong desires to be other than what I am. And to take a quick route to that. I want to show myself to be more rich, more fashionable, more, cool. Kids cool. And then grown-ups richer or powerful or whatever. I remember in India it's a very sort of congenital disease. Do you know who I am? Or even worse, do you know who I know? I remember, I actually saw this in a train in Bihar. This was long ago. Bihar is much better now. But in a train in Bihar, the ticket checker comes. The ticket checker was asking for tickets. I showed my ticket. I was a young man at that time. A gentleman in front of me, was probably somebody, claimed to be somebody. And he didn't have a ticket. Or maybe he had, but he found it insulting to be asked to show the ticket, whatever it was. He started yelling at the ticket checker. "Jante ho main kaun hu? Do you know who I am?" The ticket checker said, "That's all right, sir, but please show me your ticket." And he had only one thing. "Do you know who I am?" And he kept on saying that in higher and higher registers, and lower and higher. Until the ticket checker was intimidated and actually walked away. There's a joke I read about this. And do you know who I am? One gentleman, he was visiting somebody in a senior care facility. And he lost his temper for some reason and he yelled at somebody. People were meeting, the elder people, seniors were all sitting around in the recreation area. And he yelled, "Do you know who I am?" And the little old lady at the side said, "No, my dear, but you go to the front desk, they know who everybody is." It's a common problem among us. We always go to the desk, "Tell me who I am." So this is Dhamma. Do you know who I am? My connections with rich and powerful people, or I am rich and powerful, things like that. So, the problem with this is Dhamma is equal to Vivarta. Vivarta means the cause appearing as the effect. That which is not something else appearing as something else. The rope appears as a snake. Brahman appears as Maya. Brahman appears as Samsara. Show, absolutely ostentatiousness, show, display does not go with spirituality. It's just the opposite. You can see why. On one hand, we are trying to overcome samsara, the display of samsara, and on the other hand, I catch up some things in samsara, wealth, position, learning, and then magnify them beyond honesty, and then try to see that is my glory. Can the finite be the glory of the infinite? Never. All our samsara samsara is because the infinite, having forgotten itself as infinite, is trying to find itself as the infinite here. Yesterday the gentleman was there, I don't know if he's there, the Bhuma, is he here today? No. So the t-shirt said Bhuma, it means the vast, the infinite. And the Upanishad says, Bhume Vasukham, Yove Bhuma Tat Sukham. Only in the infinite, in the limitlessness, in the vast is there happiness. Nalpe Sukhamasti. There is no happiness in the limited. And here we are, ourselves the vast, and that's the joke of it. Catching hold of the limited and glorying in the limited. And going to the even further, what is not there, that also we are trying to show. Why are we doing this? There is a metaphysical reason behind it. Our real nature is infinite. So we are always grasping at the infinite. Unfortunately, not knowing that it's here, we try to find it here. So that is Adam. Next one, Ahimsa. That is the central virtue of all spiritual life. Ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence. Gandhiji, for example, is very known, Mahatma Gandhi, for the doctrine of non-violence. It's actually not quite right even to say the doctrine of non-violence. It's like it's some kind of policy. Many people thought that. This is something Mahatma Gandhi taught the Indians during our fight against the British for independence from the British Empire. So some of the other politicians with him, they thought it's a political move. But Mahatma Gandhi was first and foremost a spiritual seeker, then only a politician. He writes in his autobiography that, who am I? People ask, some people think I'm a politician, some think I'm a freedom fighter, some think I'm a social reformer, which he was, all of those things. But if you ask me, I'm a simple man in search of God. Which is, that's so honest, this should be our answer. Yes, you're a dad, or a mom, or a corporate executive, or a teacher, or a doctor. Yes, all of that, community leader. But I am a simple person in search of God. Now, one of the central doctrines he had was teaching was non-violence. As a spiritual practice, only later as a part of his politics. People thought it was a political move. When he says, practice truth, non-violence, brahmacharya, self-control, celibacy, then some people would say, I understand the truth, everybody wants to be truthful. At least, even if I don't want to be, I would like to be known as being truthful. Nobody says I want to be known as a liar. And non-violence, we understand it's a good strategy because the British are so strong, they have all the guns, we are weak. So they thought it was a policy. And Mahatma Gandhi writes in one place that they don't understand that the practice of truth, non-violence, brahmacharya, these things, if you do them all together, they are easier. If you try to practice them one only, I'll be truthful. But I may be violent. You will not be able to be truthful also. I'll be truthful, but I will not practice self-control. Then you will not be able to be truthful also. I'll practice self-control, but I'll not be truthful. Then you cannot practice self-control also. But altogether, if you do them, it's actually much easier. They mutually support each other. Now, violence, did you know that violence was of 81 types? In one place I found this, an analysis. So, violence, whether we do it or we make somebody else do violence on our behalf or we permit violence. In Sanskrit, krita, karita, anumodita. Krita means done by yourself. Karita means done by somebody else. Or anumodita, you allow violence to be done. That is all three other types of violence. Not equal, but still there are violence. Then there is the cause of this violence. It could be anger, it could be greed, it could be